Hi everybody, welcome to Simply Scuba. In today's top tip video, I'm breaking down tips and advice for diving in low visibility. Over the years, I've had plenty of experience with little to no visibility whilst on a dive, and whilst it may hopefully never ever happen to you because you only ever dive in the clearest of blue waters, it is best if you're prepared should it ever happen to you all of a sudden on a dive. The first thing is to stay calm. A loss of visibility can be very dangerous, but it's also equally important for you to stay calm and think your way out of that situation. Do a quick assessment in your mind of your situation. So where you are in relation to the dive site in general, which way you're facing, which way your exit or the surface is, where your buddy is roughly, all these kind of things, how much gas you have, how deep you are, all of those things, and then act upon all of that information. If you just go literally blindly in one direction without thinking, then you could make things worse. So just take a moment, calm yourself down so that you make the right decision. Monitor your depth and air supply more closely, or at least more frequently. Without a visual reference of the bottom or a reef or something, it can be very easy for a lot of divers to lose their buoyancy and ascend or descend too quickly without even knowing it. Particles in the water will drift in that water movement and kind of make you feel like you're actually moving in the opposite direction, and it can throw you off your actual body's movement. So rely on your gauges and make sure that you can get back safely. Use your torch correctly. A dive torch in low visibility is a really useful tool for you to be seen, but not necessarily for you to see. You will be able to see another diver who has their torch switched on far further away in poor visibility thanks to their torch beam. It just highlights them in the water. Just like fog lights on your car. The light itself isn't necessarily there so that you can see better through poor visibility. It's so that other divers can see you easier. When I was leading dives in poor visibility, I would often use to shine my torch behind me from time to time so that divers behind me could actually see me, see that torch beam a lot further back and be able to pick me out of the water so they know exactly where I am. Plan your separations before the dive. You should have been taught in your foundational course, no matter what the training agency, that if you ever get separated from your buddy, you stop where you are, you look around for 1 minute, you ascend safely, and then you reunite on the surface. Remember to look up and down during your search, because a lot of separations are simply where one buddy is just above the other. They can see them, so the guy on top feels very comfortable, but if the lower, deeper down diver looks around, they're going to find it really hard to find them. But if you just look up, you should tend to find them. But divers are also quite useful in that we leave a trail of bubbles like diagonally behind us. So if you do see bubbles when you're searching, either in the water column or when you're on the surface, you can usually follow those down to another diver. Now, there's no guarantee that that's going to be your buddy, but following bubbles can help you locate lost open circuit divers. Stay close to your buddy, literally arm's length, and maybe even use a buddy line that connects the two of you together to avoid separation. I'd far rather rub shoulders with my buddy from time to time than lose them completely. I want to be able to touch them to get their attention so that we can communicate immediately, and stay on the same side. Too many divers, even in clear blue waters, they swap sides too often, and if they're on the wrong side to when they started, the buddy's going to look in the wrong direction and they're not going to be there. So try and be predictable so that your buddy knows where you should be at all times. Use your DMSB. For a host of reasons, your DMSB is really handy to send up in poor visibility. First, remember to check that your spool has enough line before you send it up. You don't want to get yanked up to 15 meters because you only brought your small spool, but An SMB can let your buddy and the surface know, one, where you are in the water roughly, and two, that you are actually aware that you're separated and not just merrily continuing the dive by yourself. It's also useful for you to create a visual depth reference point to ascend with. You can watch that line, and as you wind it in, you know exactly how quickly you're ascending with that visual reference. You can call the dive at absolutely any stage, even before you get wet. If you're not into it, you're not enjoying the zero visibility, just call it. There's no shame in it, and I'd far rather my buddy ask if we can end the dive then and there or skip it altogether than they end up panicking or something bad happens when they encounter this bad visibility. On the flip side of that, don't be too confident and make it so that your buddy has to follow you. Personally, I've never had an issue with low visibility. I was literally molded by it learning to dive here in the UK, but in the back of my mind, I always need to be thinking if this visibility could be too much for my buddy and make it easy for them to call the dive. So just allow it, yeah, this is awful visibility. Are you up for this? And just say, I'm happy to skip the dive if you're not happy with it. And that just gives them a nice easy out, just in case they're a bit worried, they're apprehensive. At least give them the option to make it easy for them to call the dive. Be slow. If you move at your normal pace, it will be really easy to lose your buddy or just swim straight into something. There are actually stories of scuba divers swimming straight inside of a shipwreck from the outside and only finding that out by bumping into an internal structure inside that shipwreck. They had no idea that they'd actually swum into a shipwreck, and they then had to feel their way out of the hole that they've just swum through. That example is very rare. It's basically threading the needle in the dark, but take things really slowly and just maximize your chances of actually seeing that bulkhead or something and knowing that you're swimming in, or just take things nice and slow. Wear bright colors. A wide variety of colors is available to us now when we're buying dive gear, and a flash of yellow or blue can help you be seen better through poor visibility. Sure, black is cool and it goes with everything, but if there's a chance that you're going to be stuck in poor visibility, a bright, colorful diver is much easier to spot than a drab, dark diver. So if you've got two divers in front of you, you'll be able to see the diver with the bright yellow fins a lot further away than the diver in black fins. If you have a reference point during poor visibility, never leave it unless it's absolutely necessary. If you have a really nice shot line or a wall, don't drift too far away from it. If you have that physical reference point that can keep you oriented in a particular direction, then stick close to it. Once you go away from it, you turn around, you go to swim back. If you're off by a little bit, you can easily just continue it and get yourself further lost. So do your best to stick with that reference point unless you absolutely have to leave it. And that's it for another week. If you have any handy tips or poor visibility stories, then let everybody know down in the comments below. Then head over to simplyscuba.com for all of your scuba diving equipment needs. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.